Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone is having a good week. Oh my goodness, it's been really warm here. Lots of news to cover and a couple of elders' letters. But before I do, I got another Rutherford booklet. This one is called Intolerance. And I know that I think almost all websites who have any of this older literature and archives has been shut down. So, I'm going to put the link down below to this booklet so that you guys can grab it. Now here on page 3, I just want to read a little bit from the preface. Jehovah made man a free agent. Not according to religions. Holding him responsible for his intelligent acts. Jehovah never prevents man from expressing his mind. Well, Jehovah may not prevent anyone from expressing their mind, but Watchtower sure does, and so do these other cults. Back to the booklet. Intolerance does not at all apply to Jehovah and those who faithfully obey him. Satan, the enemy, has at all times held men in darkness and attempted to compel them to believe and practice what selfish men have taught them. Boy, ain't that the truth. But I wanted to go over here to page 7. First paragraph, and read this. Boy, if this doesn't fit Watchtower nowadays. For many centuries, the Catholic hierarchy has operated the most cruel, wicked, and defamatory organization that has ever been on the earth. Well, they're not the only ones now. This may have been true back in 1933. Not anymore. All these cults do. They employ coercion and the gag and any other unlawful means necessary to accomplish their cruel purposes. When they want someone killed, they make the killer believe that the priest can fully absolve him from all wrong and clear him from all punishment, either here or hereafter. Watchtower does its best to shut people up. And the reason I'm reading that is because I'm sure most of you have heard about the news coming out of Switzerland. Another victory for our community. Watchtower has lost. Now, the court document, it's been translated into English, and of course there's a disclaimer that they are not a professional legal translators, so they did their best. Thank you very much. What the trial was about. Dr. Phil Regina Spies, an expert on cults, was accused of defamation, the crime of attacking and or damaging the honor of a person or an organization, Article 173 of the Penal Code. Because true defamatory statements are usually exempt from punishment, the aim of the court trial was to demonstrate that the statements made by her were true. For all relevant points, the expert succeeded in proving that the statements were in fact true, proof of truth, or that they could be considered true in good faith, proof of good faith. During the trial, it could also be proven that all of her statements were made in respect of the public interest. For the trial, 24 witnesses had been named. However, the court decided not to call on them because a proof of exoneration had already been provided through extensive written evidence. The court acquitted the expert of all charges, and she was awarded a trial compensation of CHF $20,500 for legal fees and an additional personal harm allowance of CHF $4,000 from the court treasury, a considerable amount by Swiss standards. Initially, the Jehovah's Witnesses Switzerland announced an appeal. After the written verdict was issued in January of 2020, however, they allowed the deadline for filing and substantiating an appeal to expire, with the consequence that the court ruling is now binding. So, they didn't even fight it. Now, this is the media release that came out yesterday, a groundbreaking ruling. Court confirms severe criticism of Jehovah's Witnesses is justified. And this is why we keep speaking out. We're speaking the truth. Watchtower may accuse us of lying and being apostates. But no, we try our best to get the truth out. Back to the press release. The religious practice of Jehovah's Witnesses violates basic rights of their members. And that's what we've been saying. They violate our human rights. Then they go crying to the UN that their rights are being violated. What about all of ours? Children, too, are affected by ostracism. Yes, they are. The two-witness rule facilitates sexual violence against children. Boy, ain't that the truth. In July 2019, the District Court of Zurich acquitted a cult expert and former InfoSecta employee on all charges of libel brought by the Association of Jehovah's Witnesses Switzerland. These charges came following an interview in the Tengiz, probably media, in a media release in 2015. From March 2020 on, it became apparent that the Jehovah's Witnesses of Switzerland were not going to file an appeal. The court ruling, devastating for the Jehovah's Witnesses, is therefore final. Now, I was also sent an article. I will put the link down below. You will have to use Google Translate or one of your other translate programs. Back to the press release. To the best of our knowledge, this verdict, unprecedented both in Switzerland and internationally based on extensive evidence, the court examined the cult expert statements regarding key points of criticism of the Jehovah's Witness doctrine, and it concluded that the criticism was justified. The religious practices of the Jehovah's Witnesses violate the fundamental rights of their members and their loved ones. I'm going to repeat that for emphasis. The religious practices of the Jehovah's Witnesses violate the fundamental rights of their members and their loved ones. And every single one of us talks about the spiritual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. Almost all of us have suffered some form of abuse. And most of us are being shunned by JW family members and friends, which they say is one of the most damaging psychological things you can do to a person. Watchtower knows this. That's why they use it. But yet they bashed the Catholic Church back in 1947 for their excommunication. Said it was a pagan practice. They may be able to shut down all these websites with the archives, but we have it. We have all this evidence. Back to the press release. I digress. This verdict is also crucial concerning a clarification of the doctrine of the Jehovah's Witnesses, which is a doctrine that is binding for all of their members worldwide. It also entails questions about the statutory body recognition of the denomination in Germany. Proof of truth in all key points. Dr. Regina Spice, an expert in cults who now works for the Association JW Up for Health, was able to prove the truth, proof of truth, of her main arguments and or explanations were recognized by the court as known to the court. The practice of shunning, ostracism, exists and is at least to some extent a violation of human rights. Proof of truth. Shunning can be understood as prescribed bullying and violates the integrity and implicit freedom of belief and conscience of the persons concerned. Proof of truth. How is that not describing a cult? And it's so sad that most Jehovah's Witnesses, including Mike and I's mom, will never know this. They would never read an article like this. They would never hear about an article like this. Children and young people, too, are affected by shunning. Proof of truth. Children experience severe fear due to this religious practice. Armageddon. Look at how many parents, even Jehovah's Witness parents, said their kids were traumatized by those bunker videos and the videos that were shown at the convention with the military coming after the Jehovah's Witnesses in that little meadow. Those videos alone woke some up. Back to the press release. It still occurs repeatedly that Jehovah's Witnesses die as a result of the ban on blood transfusions. And isn't that the truth? I just did a video day before yesterday about the elderly JW who was attacked by the pit bulls and died because she had lost too much blood. It would not take a blood transfusion. Oh, and thank you, sweetie. Someone who is associated with that congregation sent me some information. The congregation is love bombing the Cook family. Oh, Sister Cook was such a great hero. She stood up for Jehovah's doctrines on blood, and she was faithful to the very end. How sad. How sad. The two-witness rule exists. Shunning ostracism. Baptized members of Jehovah's Witnesses who turn away from the faith or break rules are expelled from the community. Other Jehovah's Witnesses may no longer have contact with them or even acknowledge them. This also applies to close family members. Those affected often lose all of their loved ones at once, including those closest to them: parents, children, siblings, partners, grandparents, and friends. Ostracized persons often learn about the marriage, birth, or death of their closest relatives from third parties. Today, children are often baptized at the age of 11 or younger. After that, they can no longer freely decide how they want to live and what they want to believe in, because otherwise they will lose their family and loved ones. And boy, do we see that all the time. We're friends with a young man. He first contacted us when he was 16, and he no longer believed. He's been going through hell. Still is. Several years later, he's still going through it. This is 9 pages. I'm not going to read all of this. But on page 2 here, why this judgment is so important. And I'm going to put the link down below to this too. Until now, Switzerland has tolerated religious guidelines which endanger the psychological and physical integrity of children and adults within Jehovah's Witness community. All governments do. They tolerate Jehovah's Witnesses in these practices under freedom of religion, even though it violates human rights all over the place. I know. Kimmy's getting riled. In response to this judgment, Swiss politicians will be called upon to take action to review legislation and decide what political measures to take. Just like in Australia, take away their tax-free status. In Germany, I have been told they don't even have to report the money they're taking in donations and stuff. So they can hide their money. All these other countries, they can take that money from that country and send it to Germany. And Watchtower doesn't even have to let anybody know how much they're taking in, how much they're getting. Germany and Austria must now explain why they, as states, approve religious guidelines that silence children and women affected by sexual violence, call on parents to shun their underage children, and abandon people whose lives are in danger. The judgment also makes it clear that the Jehovah's Witnesses obviously did not tell the state the truth during their application process to become a public corporation, because shunning also affects the nuclear family, including parent-child, sibling, and couple relationships. Shunning tears families apart, and in Germany and Austria this happens with the approval of the state. This judgment is also important because the denomination tries to intimidate cult experts, journalists, and activists with legal action all around the world. And that is the truth. That is the truth. See, do you understand what this press release is saying from this psychologist, this cult expert? The judgment, this court judgment in these court documents make it clear that Jehovah's Witnesses obviously did not tell the state the truth during their application process. And we know this is true because look at on their website. We don't shun. The family ties aren't broken. Liars. Liars. And I know it's difficult sometimes because I know of even some ex-JWs that feel, well, the governing body are closer to God. They wouldn't lie. They wouldn't deceive. Yes, they do. Just watch the Australian Royal Commission. Day 8. Especially part 1 with Jeffrey Jackson's testimony. He lied. They always do this. They lie to the governments and to the state. They hide their true rules and doctrines. They have to hide it. Otherwise, they'd be marked as a cult. And the governments would not give them legal status. Now, in editing this, I realized that I had forgot to read at least the top part of the article in Switzerland in the news media. I wasn't able to get the entire article and then translate it into English for some reason, but this will give you enough to realize what the article is about. Jehovah's Witnesses practice bullying as confirmed by a Zurich court. Just like I was just talking about, the court documents, and thus embarrasses the community in Germany, meaning it embarrasses Watchtower and the Jehovah's Witnesses in Germany. It's been happening a lot lately. Critics can go unpunished to say that ostracizing dropouts among Jehovah's Witnesses violates human rights and the Constitution. See, and this is what Russia was saying also. This is one of the main reasons they got banned in Russia and viewed as extremists, is because it violates human rights and their constitution. And I know many ex-JWs didn't agree with that, saying, oh, well, Jehovah's Witnesses shouldn't be banned. They're going to be murdered and tortured and raped and put in prison, and it's going to be your fault. No, it's not going to be our fault. We're just saying this is what happens when you violate a country's human rights and constitution. And Germany is recognizing this now also. Jehovah's Witnesses violates human rights and the Constitution. This raises questions about the church's state recognition. So Watchtower was just fighting all these years trying to get legal status. They're bragging about it on jw.org. You can go check it out. Alright, like I said, I am going to put the link down below to this and this little gem here, because I know it's getting harder to find them. Grab it, because Watchtower doesn't want something like this getting out. I know they'd say, oh, that was 1933, that's old light. But look at how they were bashing the Roman Catholic Church and its hierarchy, calling it evil and abusive. And murderers, they come right out and accuse them of being murderers. Wow. All right, I've also got another article here. Now this one is from Sweden, and a little 3-year-old girl was murdered. And I translated it to English, the explanation behind the cruel fate of Little Heart, and that's what this little 3-year-old girl was called. And it asks, the first thing at the top, How can a mother let her child die without calling for help? Well, we all know. They do it all the time. This particular case, it appears, let's see, the abuse began after she revolted of a strict religious upbringing in Jehovah's Witnesses. Talking about the mom. And she had bouts, with drug abuse. And she let the poor little girl die. The girl's mother had been charged with murder, but will only be convicted of neglecting someone else's death. At the end of the trial, to determine the mother's sentence, a large forensic psychiatric examination was conducted over 4 weeks. There have been suspicions of a serious mental disorder, and it was reinforced by the fact that the woman who was arrested has been placed in a psychiatric clinic. So, very sad, poor little girl. Poor little girl. And it's just sad. But it also brings home the point. There's so much mental illness in the Jehovah's Witness, upbringing. And all of us have suffered some form of abuse. And any Jehovah's Witness says that it's an isolated case or we're lying or whatever else, they have no idea. How can they say that when they will not go and look at all of these articles and investigate all these articles? We put links down below. They don't click on them. They don't want to see them. They want to sit there at their little keyboard and say we're liars and these are all Satan's world lies, apostate lies. No. Just like this case in Switzerland, we've got the court documents. Now, we've gotten a whole bunch of elders' letters. This one's dated July 2nd, and I forgot to mention this in the video I did the other day. Judicial hearings in Kingdom Halls. The branch office has approved that once the Kingdom Hall has been cleaned and disinfected, the body of elders may hold judicial hearings there without the need to consult with the service department. However, please keep in mind the importance of abiding by the following safety guidelines. All should be reminded of the need to take the necessary precautions to reduce the risk of being exposed to infection. Good hygiene, use of masks, and maintaining a safe physical distance are vital. Make sure disinfectant gel is available at the Kingdom Hall. All in attendance must be in good health and not be considered as high-risk individuals. The laws and recommendations imposed by the local authorities should be followed. We remind you that this is the only activity that is allowed in the Kingdom Hall. The branch office is constantly reevaluating the situation and will let you know as soon as other activities may be resumed. We appreciate your cooperation and diligence as you follow the recommendations of the faithful and discreet slave in these very special circumstances. Wow. Judicial hearings are so important that they'll open the Kingdom Hall and disinfect them just for those. Wow. Another letter to all bodies of elders. Letter of encouragement for the elders. Dear brothers, during these critical times hard to deal with, can you tell I'm keeping from laughing? We are very grateful to you for your unconditional support in caring for Jehovah's sheep. Without a doubt, you are going the extra mile in putting the interests of others ahead of your own. Oh yeah, the food distribution is a fiasco. I've had several people send me pictures, and wow, all they got was some potatoes and a few heads of cabbage, while others who are high up pillars of the congregation, they're getting boxes and boxes of food with meat and all kinds of produce and all kinds of things. But yet those who aren't quite as active, some who are elderly, they're just getting a few little things. Not even a box. Just a few little items. So that is a fiasco. Back to the letter. It is no easy task to care not only for the congregation but also for your families and yourselves, and then quickly implementing so many instructions, new ways of organizing things, new ways of preaching, and then encouraging the publishers to follow these and see the benefit of doing so. Yeah, gotta get the sheeple to obey. Furthermore, the worldwide pandemic is lasting quite some time, which adds to how it wears on us in every way. How important it is then to be men of prayer, constantly seeking Jehovah's guidance, His wisdom, and requesting His Holy Spirit. That is a key to success. But yet they won't pray and ask for Jehovah's help and Holy Spirit for kids who are being abused. Hypocrites. Times like these highlight the importance of caring for your personal spirituality by daily Bible reading and meditation. Doing so will keep you in a better position to continue helping others to strengthen their spirituality and maintain a positive attitude. Your imitation of the Great Shepherd, Jehovah God's beautiful personality, and the way He cares for His sheep is clearly seen. I thought Jesus Christ was the shepherd. Jehovah now is your great shepherd? We are confident that by means of the tender affection and care you display, they feel the comfort that comes from Jehovah. Yeah, right. How happy you too should feel as you see how Jehovah is using you to care for His loyal servants from whom He paid the highest possible price. Loyal servants? I thought Jesus died for everybody. I digress. Jehovah values the assistance you provide to your brothers. You are storing up treasures in heaven by means of your unselfish acts towards those related to us in the faith. Your fine example is also motivating the brothers to imitate your faith and your self-sacrificing spirit as you care for others. Even the very young ones are seeing firsthand that you are a loving shepherd, and this will help them to also be loving shepherds in the future. Yeah, I know a lot of young ones, they don't look to these men as self-sacrificing, loving shepherds. No. You elders are being a hiding place, a shadow, and refreshing waters. We face these trials that are like the wind in a waterless land and a parched land. Like the Apostle Paul, you are being poured out on behalf of your brothers. Jehovah is very pleased with your faithful labor, and so is His organization. Thank you, dear brothers, for all that you are doing, and please give our thanks to your wives and children for their support, generosity, and self-sacrificing spirit. Now, according to the court documents in Switzerland, they deserve to be criticized. And that's what we keep doing. You know, all of this crap, and I do mean crap. I want to make it PG, I don't want to make it R. But all this crap they are pulling worldwide and lying and deceiving and getting these poor Jehovah Witnesses to where they don't even know what's going on in the world. They don't even know what to believe. I was just talking to a friend of mine. Hi, sweetie. And she was talking to an elder's wife, and she brought up the child abuse. Oh, yeah, that. Well, they're not really Jehovah's Witnesses that abuse children. So they've got elders in there, ministerial servants, regular pioneers, these brothers that are supposedly, you know, deep within the congregation, shepherds, loving shepherds. These aren't really Jehovah's Witnesses abusing kids. Jeffrey Jackson even admitted in his testimony when asked about their child abuse problem. Well, it appears to be so. Those aren't Jehovah's Witnesses? See, this is how deceived Jehovah's Witnesses are. Even elders' wives. They're not told what's going on. A lot of them don't even know about the secret book. Oy vey. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for watching and for subscribing. We appreciate you very much, and all of your comments and emails, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.